How did you get into it?
20 years ago, someone came into my office, a visually impaired guy, and mentioned it to me. Said, hey, you ever considered playing hockey? And I'm like, no. I mean, I played floor hockey as a kid, and it was basically not an option. I mean, there just was no, there was no ability to play blind hockey. And he says, yeah, you can play. There's a team in Vancouver. And I was like, unbelievable. The problem was I couldn't skate.
If you talk to someone, you say, I'm blind, or I'm legally blind, by default, do you have a cane or you have a dog? And that's the way that all society is looking at blind person. But 1% of the population of blind people are totally blind. Everyone else, there's a whole spectrum of different handicap, of different sickness, illness that defines it. And after I explained that, I explained how we play and how the rules and everything, and they just say, oh.
It's just like normal hockey, you know, it's, you know, there's goals and there's pucks and there's players and there's a few adaptations. There's, you know, the puck's a little bit bigger, it's slower, it makes a little noise.
The goalies, the amazing thing about that is we're B1, so we're basically totally in the dark. So it's very, very amazing how they can stop the puck like that.
You have to be so much more focused because you're not only trying to look for the puck, but you're trying to hear the puck.
The unpredictability of where everyone else is going to be on the ice, having to constantly scan where my team as well as the other team is going to be.
You know, you're competing against your friends, and as soon as you get off the ice, you're all friends again. But during the game, your only friends are the guys on your team, so, yeah.
I find it's just a bond that everybody has because everybody's kind of going through the same thing on a daily life. So that is, you know, a bond that is very, very special, I find. It's nice to cherish that in between, you know, the athletes.
So when I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare eye condition called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, or LHON. And what it did was it took away the central sight in both my eyes, leaving me legally blind. So within about 6 months.
I've been legally blind since birth with a condition called aniridia. So since I don't have any iris, I have a lot of light coming into my eye because of that. And it makes it all blurry.
I went blind in a snap of a finger from seeing something 20/20 and literally in a split second, the lights went out. It was absolutely shock. I was completely blind for about 8.5 months before the doctors were capable of giving me surgeries to give me back the small amount of vision that I have now.
I lost it at birth, was cataracts that were unfortunately not operated correctly on. So that's one of the things that I never accepted my handicap. I learned to live with it because normally I shouldn't have low vision.
My process was interesting as I just noticed it was off in one eye, but still had good vision with both eyes and lots of tests, and ended up getting diagnosed, and it was just a phone call. And just kind of hearing that, you kind of just question everything in your life.
I just remember being really, in denial, and I think when I first realized how severe the diagnosis was when doctors had confiscated my driver's license, and I think I realized that was probably the point where that I realized that this was something more than just some sort of eye problem. This was something I was going to deal with the rest of my life.
Like any other person that's growing up in your 20s, you're going places, you're traveling, you're getting to meet friends, meeting new people, going on road trips, long drives, and things like that. And then afterwards,
you try to play the same role, but then you're kind of like, that's not where I'm at anymore. And it's hard because you kind of try to live like this different life and try to live so much more competitively in everything you do, but like it eats you up.
There were definitely challenges in academically in school, sometimes in sport, trying to keep up once it got more competitive.
Simple things as just seeing the board, taking notes, or just making things accessible, like can just be just this annoying extra mile I have to go every time I feel.
For myself, I needed to learn how to count steps. I needed to learn sense of direction again. I need to learn to rely upon my ears and my hands instead of my eyes.
But I guess one of the hardest things is just properly communicating it, because it's super easy for me to cover it up, and it's really hard when people don't understand. And yes, it's up to me to communicate it, but it's just hard, especially when some people don't understand, or some people think it's like the only thing that defines me.
I will work twice, 3 times as hard as anyone else just to be able to do the same thing. And sometimes I will do things that I wouldn't be supposed to do. Or I could ask help, but I'm not asking, so it took a bit longer. So my biggest problem. I don't want anyone else to see that I'm visually impaired.
So if I'm able to leave that out without hiding it, like I said, I have it on my resume, things like that, but without hiding it, they're able to judge me on my qualifications over my physical ability. And then it comes out later in kind of conversations and things like that, to where the job I currently have, my bosses and coworkers had no idea.
I'm a photographer by trade. Sounds weird, you know, visually impaired photographer. The camera was my lifesaver. Without the camera, I was incapable. This is all before smartphones, you know. So without a camera, I'd be lost everywhere. Without the camera was my way of seeing the world. I could come home and I'd take a picture of something. I'd come home and blow it up on my computer and look in details at all these things that I couldn't see. And I eventually became good at that. And I wanted to become a professional photographer. So I knew that I needed to step up my game on the other side of things, and I needed to, if I wanted to be a professional photographer, I wanted to be taken seriously, and I wanted to have big clients, and I wanted to make a payday, I needed to sort of get rid of the cane.
There was never an excuse of, I'm blind, so I can't do it. And being born with the limited vision and not losing my vision later on in my life, I think helped me to just roll with it. And this is what I know, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to adapt myself.
There's lots of things you can do, right? It doesn't really have to stop you from anything. There's so much help and technology nowadays that your vision doesn't have to stop you from doing anything, really. So.
One of the toughest times, funny enough, was not the fact that I got my driver's license confiscated or that I was going to be unable to read, textbooks going to my senior year. I think the toughest part was knowing that my goal of playing college hockey had come to an end. That was tough for me. I think it was tough for my family. It was something you work so hard for your whole life, and then being told that, essentially, it's all gone. I think when I look back at it, funny enough, sometimes before our eyes, we don't realize that some of life's biggest adversity can actually become an opportunity.
In a blind person's day-to-day life, we're forced to take everything very slow. That means, you're always paying attention to where you're walking and what you're gonna bump into, and hopefully you're not gonna break something when you're in a store. But once you get onto the ice, you're just going. It's the one time that you can be fast and free and with a little bit of reckless abandonment. And the sport as itself is
the fastest game on ice, played by people with 2 little metal blades. I put my life into, and why? Because the reasons that we see today. When we see kids out there, we see adults out there, we see people with different types of visual impairments. We see people all different ethnic backgrounds and cultural backgrounds. We see people who have recently lost their sight, people who lost their sight a long time ago. We see people who would have never thought they got to do this. We see people who sometimes doubt themselves, and every time they take the ice, they remind themselves why they can do it. We see so many things, and meanwhile, we can't even see.
When people see the game growing, and again, with this kids and youth division coming out, then moms and dads can sit back and go, okay, this is a serious sport with a serious infrastructure, and at the end of the day, I want my son or daughter to play the nation's game.
I think everyone here now regularly tries to keep this passion of hockey close to them. So there's more events, there's more opportunities, regional championships, national championships. They're going to be naming a Team Canada to play Team USA. It's not going to stop.
Whatever you want you will get, but you have to want it. At the end of the day, you will get what is a must in your life. You're not gonna sort of get, hey, I'd like this, I'd like that. But when you look at something and go, I must have that, you'll excel. But you gotta have the drive.
Like able-bodied, visually impaired, amputee, anything, having that experience to know that you worked so hard to get to the highest level that you could possibly get to, and that you're able to show off all that work that you've put in is something that I would hope everyone would get the opportunity to do.
This is not about just hockey. I mean, let's face it, no one here is going to the NHL, and no one here is making $1 million contracts. This is about people who simply just want to do what they love to do despite the shit they've dealt with in their life. And to me, that's what really matters. It's what this, for us, is hockey. For others, maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else that's their catalyst. But for me, this is something more than just hockey. I think it's a symbol of what we can do and a testament around our life to anyone. The only difference is the one first word. It's blind. Nothing else changes. Same passion, same fire, same energy, same love. Everyone at the end of the day, whether you're sight or not, strapping on 2 pairs of skates.
So he's not kicking himself.
No, he's not.
Great setup there.
For more information about Blind Ice Hockey and to find out how to get involved, please visit blindicehockey.com.
Saved just moments before by Prevost. But Team Yellow, great passing play there in overtime. Managed to get some open ice. Good separation, room to make a good pass and to eliminate any chance of the defenseman playing a role there at all. And Vince Ryan just buries it. Never gave Aaron Prevost a chance on that play. And Team Yellow comes out on top.